Hey folks, as I'm sure all of y'all watching this video already know, EPMD, hip-hop giants, Sleeping Bag Records, went on to Def Jam, had huge hits, went solo, had huge hits, came back together, had huge hits. Of course, Eric Sermon's, the E of EPMD, formed the Def Squad, which had a lot of big acts like Redman, Keith Murray, some smaller acts, but still, like Jamal and stuff. Big hits, Def Squad. Then on the other hand, PMD, when he went off, he had the Hit Squad, which also had some pretty big hits in some big groups like Das Effects, Kate Solo. They had big hit records. So you had Eric Sermon with the Def Squad and PMD with the Hit Squad. But what's interesting is actually EPMD originated before any of that from a third squad, or actually the first squad, chronologically speaking, the Rock Squad. Now, Eric Sermon, in fact, is not involved with this at all. This is just, bam, right there. There he is. PMD himself, back then known as DJ Easy P. This is on Tommy Boy Records back in 1985. Their first single, but not their only one. Sometimes you'll hear people say it's PMD's brother who was in Rock Squad, not PMD himself. Well, they're both right, really, because this here, Smitty D, is his brother. So they're the Smith brothers and two members of the Rock Squad. You also have Groovy Groove and Jerry J. Smitty D is really pretty much the leader of the group. In fact, their later singer is actually called Smitty D and the Rock Squad. And PMD doesn't actually rap on this at all. He is, of course, the DJ ECP, and he's sort of the least smallest member of the group, because even when you look at their photo here, I don't know how you can see it, photo of the group on the back, he's not included. And I don't think he may not have worked on the second record. You don't actually hear any scratching on either record, so it's not really sure exactly what he did. He probably had a hand in the production, although both songs were produced by other people, so I'm not even sure exactly what DJ ECP did on the records. It might have just been more that he's a member of the group when they did shows and stuff, and he was naturally be the DJ on the turntables then. So the song, as you see, is called The Facts of Life, and first of all, I'm happy to report that this song does not at all make use of the theme from the Facts of Life TV sitcom. Certainly back in the early, mid-'80s, with guys like, especially like Fresh Gordon and all that, taking themes from TV commercials and sitcom themes and the Andy Griffith theme and all that kind of stuff was all the rage. People are all doing it. They're all incorporated into hip-hop instrumentals. So, if you haven't heard this, you figure, okay, they're going to do a rap song using the Facts of Life theme. Thankfully, they don't. I don't think it's any connection at all to do with the show, except for they both happen to use the very famous phrase. So what is this song like? It's very, very 80s. It's sort of a freestyle kind of feel to it a little bit. Definitely got a real breakdance feel to it. This kind of comes right in that sort of phase post-disco, but before Run DMC really turned things a little harder and stripped it down. This is still that little kind of b-boy, breakdancing, freestyle era. It's produced by the Latin Rascals, which tells you a lot. But even for them, this is more of sort of a breakdancey record than they were known to do. But so Latin Rascals, always a great group, and this is a really kind of fun track. They do a little bit of harmonizing, singing on the hook, the facts of life. But basically, they just rap straight through some, pretty decent MCs. There's not too much else to this. They have backup vocals by their boys, the TDK Disciples. And their second single, interestingly, was Marley Marl worked on that one. And it's definitely got more of a stripped down, more classically hip-hop kind of sound. It doesn't really sound like a Marley Marl production. There's no echoes, so it's not that kind of signature Marley Marl sound. But he did work on that record, and it does definitely have a much more classical hip-hop kind of feel. But also, on the other hand, it's a little bit more boring, honestly. So this is much more kind of fun, upbeat, freestyle. And then the B-side only is the Facts of Life instrumental, or as it's called on the actual label, the Facts of Dub. So it was certainly fun that this is the first appearance of PMD, who would then, of course, hook up with Eric Sermon later and sign to Sleeping Bag Records and make history. But honestly, if you're listening to this for PMD, again, he doesn't rap on here, he doesn't even really scratch on here, so if you're just listening to this strictly for PMD, you're going to be kind of disappointed. But it is a fun record on its own right, and certainly is an interesting, fun historical fact that includes PMD as their DJ. So I'm going to play a clip of it right now, and that's about it. It's just sort of a short one. I just want to introduce you to, a cool bit of hip-hop history here, again on Tommy Boy Records, 1985, their first of two singles. Smitty D and the Rock Squad, Facts of Life.
without skill and knowledge you will never achieve. No job, no food, I'm on the street, and with no dough I just can't eat. This is my state and my nation. Why are elderly people eating generation? Then it's friends fighting one another, but 2 days later they want to be a brother. Are making that mighty dollar, but they don't care who the hurt or bother. Kids are drawn to cheap and coke. Now without that high, they just can't cope. Well, go